Hey everyone and welcome to this patch notes rundown. I'm super excited to present you this time patch 8.01, the first patch in season 8. And it's actually some pretty cool changes, so let's head right into it. First of all, quick reminder, Master Cup 8 is coming. It's going to be at the end of August. Link will be down in the description. Top 16 teams will participate, so it's going to be great for everyone who's a little bit higher in the elo. And for everyone else to watch. It's going to be casted over 2 days, and yeah, it's going to be an amazing show, so be prepared and I hope you will enjoy it. Next on, thanks a lot for the shout out here to Shadowings and me. I want to name Shadowings as well. He's doing a daily cast, so he's uploading a casted high elo game every day and explains a lot about decision making and all that stuff. So if you're interested in improve yourself there, check out Shadowings channel. I'm gonna link it in the description as well. First thing in the new patch is the new Mastermind Option YOLO, which does exactly what it means. It's trash. So you get 6 income, which is only 1 income more than you do have with greed. And you get a set of fully random fighters, a fully random roll, which means you do not have anything guaranteed. You have no tier 1 guaranteed, you have no arcane guaranteed, and so on. So it's just 6 random fighters, but you still have your 1 reroll, and this is like a little bit shining at the end of the tunnel, because else this is really awful. So my recommendation, don't even buy it unless you want to have fun in classic games. This is nothing you should ever play in ranked at this current state, and I would not recommend to play it unless you want to cheese your teammate, and to be honest, for me this would be a bannable reason. Next on, we do have rework. Redraw, which got changed a little bit, and I really do like the new change. So it was like the following just now. You had the roll of 10 that you get with any other roll as well, and you were able to re-roll this roll of 10 3 times. So if you didn't like your first selection of 10 fighters, you could re-roll it and you get a new selection of 10 random fighters. Now this all changes. You do now get 1 selection of 10 fighters and now have 2 additional re-rolls, like the one you have for free once. So you basically keep your 6 fighters that you selected and get 4 new ones, and then you can pick 6 out of those 10 fighters. And this is optionable. This is an option 3 times whenever you want in the game. So this could be really interesting to like get some early game builds and then reroll for some mid game units and then reroll again for some late game units, or as soon as you know, okay, yeah, we're both looking bad on wave X and they're probably gonna send us there. You can then try to find units for this specific wave. So there's actually a lot of decision making involved. Obviously still only +3 income, which is a downside compared to greed, but in my opinion probably very strong, especially in tournament play. I'm definitely gonna check it out in tournaments with my teammate. I'm pretty sure at least one player should play the new redraw. And one thing, I don't know where it was, I probably skipped it. Here. Now it is possible, oh no, it's not there. Okay, I'm just saying it and I'm marking it whenever I see it again. Now it is possible to get tier 1s in the reroll on wave 1. This is especially to make YOLO not that bad of a thing if you totally get no cheap units. So it is possible. So it's not guaranteed, it is possible to also get a tier 1 fighter in your reroll on wave 1. Next time we do have a new secret card, and some secret card chances are increased, which is fine for me. Graphics are always nice to have, but not mandatory for competitive play. Some ranked callouts and stuff with the game coach and some game and bug improvements. I think this is not relevant for this patch notes rundown, but now here we are, the game balance. So first of all, picking a legion which is obviously classic game or AI game, now gives you +3 starting income, which is actually massive. Especially there's some tournaments coming like the Shadow Cup where legions are allowed. So +3 starting income is a massive boost there. Oh no, here it is. Reroll now can include tier 1 fighters on wave 1, as I said. Then overall, the aim was to nerf some high cost mana synergies and to buff some medium and low cost mana synergies a little bit more, which we will see now. Magician is getting a buff, which is fine. A lot of players don't like the new Magician. I actually think it's fine. It's just a little bit different to what it was before. And there's some other comps you can use with it better compared to those that were possible before. Best example here is Boa Starcaller. Bone Warrior is getting -1 damage. I really don't understand this. It had to be really broken to have such a drastic nerf. I really don't think it's a necessary change. Dark Mage as well. Like, this is a huge change for Dark Mage. This is really insane. Like -2 damage. Yes, I can understand that the new Bone Warrior has a lot of potential on wave 3, for example. But Dark Mage to me already feels super weak. Like the only thing I ever built a Dark Mage, I think, is having like high DPS units like a Doppelganger or like a Monster Fatalizer, anything like this for the late game, or to split with it on 3 and 4 because of the regeneration it has. So really no fan of it. Next thing, Oathbreaker getting another nerf. I already had the feeling it's kinda weak now with the nerfs from the Season 8 patch. Atoms getting a buff, which is fine. I do like Atoms. I think they're in a fine state, but I also think that their pick rate isn't that high, so I can understand where this change comes from. I'm okay with it. They're not going to be busted. They're going to be still in a fine spot. I think they're now going to be above average, which is overall fine. Gargoyle getting a small nerf, which is totally understandable. It's a 40 gold unit that gives you such a high push potential before wave 3, so there's so many openers that you can play 5 worker with if you have gargoyles, so I can totally understand the reasoning behind it. On top of this, gargoyle, or later on green devil with chieftains, it's actually a very strong build, and yeah, I can imagine that somehow this nerfs the build as well, even though usually you build the green devil in wave 1, so maybe in some rare scenarios this can help as well. Next on, Golden Buckler, Royal Guardian getting nerfs. I did state in my last patch notes rundown already that I felt they were in a good spot. Seems like they aren't. It shouldn't change too much because you have attack speed reduction, which is mainly relevant for the early game waves, but usually you don't start Golden Guardian. Sometimes you have it for 6, for 9. Those waves might be a little bit more difficult now. If your Royal Guard is your tank and DPS source, but we'll have a look. Next on, Zeus getting a little bit of a nerf, which is okay. Zeus felt good in the late game, decent in the mid game, and kind of weak in the early game to me. Especially on 3, you overkill your units by a lot, and this makes it harder to hold even small sense, for example a lizard with 5 workers. We do get a pyro buff though, and I'm actually happy to see the damage buff now, because the last time I was looking at those patch notes, there was a attack speed buff, and with the attack speed buff I would have said pyro is still unplayable. Probably with the 1 damage buff it is still super weak, because well, Mole got +1 reduction, so this just equals out the Mole reduction, but there's still the extra range from the ranged waves, like 8, like 15, that makes pyro a lot harder to play. So yes, a step in the right direction, but I'm pretty sure pyro is still a super weak unit. Next thing, oh my god, it's so beautiful. Sky Queens are back already. I personally love to play Sky Queens. I did ever love to play them because they just have a cool design in my eyes. But they were just unplayable a long time before, and now they're getting buffs again. They just get damage buff last patch, this time a little bit of attack speed buff. It's gonna be amazing. They're already in a nice spot. They're gonna be in an even better spot. And yeah, try out Sky Queens, guys. Next on, Aqua Spirit, small buff. Aquas aren't as good as they used to be, and personally I would have loved a fire elemental buff as well. It feels very weak to the new mole, to the hermit. Those are units you can afford quite early in the game, and with Aqua Spirit you always had the bonus. You're like good basically 1 to 8 if you build it right, and then you had 2 weak waves with a 9 and 10. But since those units, the Mole and the Hermit, are so strong right now, and the Aqua, or especially the Fire Elemental, got a huge nerf last patch, you are basically weak, or yeah, you can be counted hard, let's say it like this, you can be counted hard on all the waves before, especially 7-8 with a Mole Hermit, Pack Leaders, all those can be very critical. And then you still have those 2 bad waves, on which you're now even worse because of the nerfs, obviously. So in my eyes, Fire Elemental should need a buff here. Same with Pyros, like the counter of the Mole is just too heavy when you already had a nerf on top. Tempest and Leviathan both getting some HP nerfs. I support this with the Leviathan because it was a very strong comm. You were pretty strong 11-12 with it. Flying Force, which is Leviathan Windhawk, was a very nice comp if you get it and have some decent adds. I totally dislike the HP nerf on Tempest as well, because Tempest already doesn't have too much HP. With 30 HP loss, you won't have the chance to start with double Tempest anymore, I feel, because it's going to be very weak. I mean, you lose 60 HP and it was close holds to small sense already. So I personally feel like the Tempest nerf is too hard. It should not be a Tempest nerf. Maybe maximum 5 HP, 10 HP, not more in my eyes. Leviathan can get a damage, health nerf though. But Tempest, I really dislike this. We get some mana regeneration on Pegasus, which is fine. Somehow Pegasus and Steed are like, I think everyone likes to have them in their comp because theoretically they're always like worth a lot if you have the right units, but often you feel like you don't find the right comp with them. Like I see a lot of players taking Steed and then buffing weak units, or they build too many Steeds with too less units that can actually work with the mana. So I think it's a very difficult unit to use, even though it seems kind of simple. And the major problem with this is that a lot of people just, they don't know their mistakes. I would count myself in that I did play Sky Queen Pegasus too much in the past. I never had an insane win rate with it. I was always below my average win rate. So I think there's a lot of room for a lot of players to improve with Pegasus and Sky Queen. Next on, some HP buffs. Look at those HP buffs. 50 HP plus for Honeyflower, and I personally still feel they're going to be trash. 150 for Death Cap. I just think those units are still going to be bad. As mentioned before, Mole buff, Hermit buff, Ranged Waves buff. There's not a lot of room to play Death Caps right now. Disciple, getting a little bit more mana regeneration. I really do like this. Disciple feels like a super weak unit at the moment. Like I can't remember myself playing Disciple the last time. Like Starcaller, yes, but before that you actually played Starcaller with Disciple sometimes to just get this burst damage or to just get the damage overall. Like Disciple was actually a unit against 10 sometime, like a season in the past. Now obviously you have Halo, which is a better ranged damage dealer for 10, or the new ranges are insane as well. But yeah, just that you know about this. Disciple was actually a wave 10 counter, but it's already a long time in the past. Next on, as Magician, now we have also the Starcaller buff with the mana regeneration, and obviously a decrease in mana regeneration for the Starcaller itself to counter this increase here. Small buffs to Radiant Halo and the Arc of Justice, which I do like. The latest nerfs were a little bit too hard, they felt weak now. I do like those buffs, especially it's only small buffs. Consider that as soon as they have mana and get the boost, they get double the attack speed, so then this buff is doubled. So yeah, all fine for me. Same as Doomsday. Doomsday is a really weak unit at the moment. I personally still don't like the concept. You do have a high cost damage dealer, but it has a lot of HP, so you basically have to make a tank, which is very difficult for a variety of players. It's just a very complex unit to play perfectly, and sometimes you just can't make a tank because on a wave it's dying too fast and so on. So overall a difficult unit to place, with the AoE units being as weak as they are at the moment. There's not really a lot of usage for Doomsday, especially if there's other units that are simply better. For example, Boa. I would always prefer, obviously the role has to be fitting, but I would always prefer a Great Boar over a Doomsday Machine on wave 14, for example. Mercenaries. We have some interesting changes here. Some I don't like, some I do like. We do have the Dino here, which is changing from fortified armor to natural. To be honest, I really don't care. It's gonna change a little bit in the usage. Now you might send Dino more often against certain units and less often against others. For example, against pierce damage, it's still going to be worth it to send a Dino. Obviously you will have to consider it again if there's some magic damage as well, because a fortified unit was a little bit better against magic damage to send instead of a natural unit. So there are some considerations you will do, but overall I think natural armor is fine, especially in the early game. Won't change too much, especially since the pierce damage from the Dino stays the same. But now there's one thing I personally dislike a lot. It's probably the worst part in my eyes about this patch, which is shifting Centaur from a tank to a damage dealer. You reduce the HP by over 1k, therefore a lot of attack speed, and it spawns now behind or within the wave like DPS mercs, brutes, ogres, packs, and so on. The problem with this is that shifting big units away from either the front or the back, where they can both get sniped with serpents and with just every unit if they're a tank, will cause bigger RNG. And with bigger RNG, those units get more of a gamble in early game waves. For example, send a Centaur on 9 now. Either you kill all the units around you, leak a Centaur, pretty good for you if you're not that strong on the wave. You can as well kill everything because you snipe the Centaur lucky out at the very first unit, or like at one of the first units. Or, which is the worst part, you can as well just kill a few units, then start focusing the Centaur, but you leak the Centaur with low HP, so you basically only killed a few creeps, left over the majority of creeps, and didn't even kill the Centaur. And those different cases will appear more and more often, since the variety is just insane for melee DPS units. This is why I personally dislike bringing high cost units in such scenarios, because it's just increasing RNG, which is bad for a strategic game. So I heavily dislike this Centaur move. Next on, was barely needed. Nerfs to wave 8 and to wave 12. Both waves were insanely strong. And to shift a little bit the power away once again from wave 12. Now we have a small buff for wave 11. We have 10 more HP and a little bit of attack speed buff, which is actually quite a lot. So 12 creeps, which makes it 120 extra HP and quite a lot of attack speed. So wave 11, sorry, care about it. This is the patch notes. I hope you guys enjoyed it. You know my opinion. Overall, I think the patch is decent. There are some really good points I do like. There's as well some points I really dislike, like the YOLO and the Centaur change. I really would only recommend not to go and play Centaur. Not Centaur. And play YOLO. It is a fun Mastermind option and not more. There's no chance of it being viable in the current state because you just have one income on top of greed, but you have no guarantees. So you can either luck super hard or you can just have the most trash roll you ever can imagine. 6 tier 1 fighters are possible. Yes, the chance is super small, but the same is for 6 tier 6 fighters. And if you're good in maths, well, you will see 6 tier 6 fighters. You won't be able to build any of them on wave 1. So you will have to reroll at wave 1 to just have anything to build there. It's 1 in a million chances, I know, but it can happen. So I hope you guys liked it. Check out Shadowings channel, check out the Master Cup, and see you next time. Bye bye.